Hey, we got it.
On the other side of the street.
Try so hard to have community relationships. He was spraying water. That's what happened.
What's going on today at noon at the Kesey Plaza area up here in Eugene?
There was a rally organized by some college students calling themselves Crazy People for Wild Places. They were calling attention to the herbicide spraying that goes along a lot of our Lane County roads. There were also speakers talking about forest herbicide spraying, which is pretty prevalent in the state of Oregon.
And what else was going on? I guess you had some banners and some suits you were wearing. Tell me something about that, the street theater.
We had a banner hanging up there that just said pesticides kill, and I was in a hazmat suit. It was just a little white, thin, disposable hazardous materials suit. And then a couple other people were, like maybe six or seven people were wearing hazmat suits, and they had quotes written on them, and facts, and some of the students would use the watering can.
So the idea is that this was a little prop at the rally, which had about 50 people there to show this is what happens everywhere in our parks, at our universities, on the side of our roads, and our forests. So one of the folks there, Ian, he was walking along on the sidewalk there in the Ken Kesey Free Speech Plaza, spraying the ground there, showing people, hey, look what we're having over here. It's a little rally coming here, what's going on there. It was filled with water, and it was obviously a theatrical display. He had on a hazmat suit and a mask.
So I understand when Ian was spraying, he was doing it here at the intersection of Broadway and Willamette, and he was going back and forth on the crosswalks. And then an SUV came up and motioned him over. Who was that? What was going on there?
It was an undercover cop in a big white SUV or Suburban or something like that, and Ian was crossing the street to come back to Kesey Square from just right across the street, and as he was pretty much already here, the undercover cop waved him over, and Ian went up to the window, and then they exchanged some words, and then I was pretty close, and after Ian was done talking to him, I was like, what'd you say to him? And I was like, you didn't ask him if he wanted to be sprayed with poison, did you? And he was like, yeah, I was just playing around, and then he said that the officer said, get out of the street or we'll have you arrested. So basically right here is where the undercover cop showed up and led him over and called him over and started talking to him in the middle of the street. Right. And then after that, Ian put down the water can, came right here and leaned against this planter and started paying attention to the speaker. And then I stood about at that planter. Right. And I was just handing out flyers, and he was just listening to the speaker. He had the water can sitting on the ground right here, and then the officers just came up to him and grabbed his shoulders, and he was like, what are you doing? And then they led him across the street and went to that corner behind that pole, and I ran after him to follow him, and they probably took him away from Kesey Square because they didn't want everyone to see right away, but they took him behind this pole and they tasered him to get him on the ground, and they stayed in this corner throughout the entire ordeal. They brought him across the street there, basically threw him up against the wall I saw, then I saw him throw him to the ground. Now keep in mind he's a 145-pound, 19-year-old kid. Threw him to the ground, knee in the back, grabbed him, I saw him grab him by his hair, bang his head down. I saw him repeatedly taser him, repeatedly. Now using this as a pain compliance, rather than here's some unruly person that's endangering a cop. Pain compliance, we want him to calm down, we want him to stop yelling out, you know, he's being grabbed, thrown to the ground. He was definitely yelling, he was writhing in pain. I didn't see him resisting.
Mr. Lewis, get on the other side of the
Going
street.
right over here where these guys are.
You're going to be arrested if you don't get on the
Right
side
where
of the
these
street.
people are, dude.
Back up, back up, back up, back up. Sorry, Trent. Back up, keep going, Mr. Lewis. Back up. Back up. Stay with him.
This is a unlawful assembly. You are ordered to disperse the area.
To where?
If you do not disperse, you will be arrested.
To where?
The Eugene Police Department put out a news release just after this happened, and within that news release, he was dressed as an exterminator and was spraying unknown liquid in the street. When the officer contacted him, he said he couldn't be arrested and raised the wand toward the officer asking, "You want poison in your face?" That sounds pretty threatening.
Yeah, that does sound pretty threatening, but that's not what happened. it doesn't make sense, first of all, for Eugene to even be spraying pesticides and herbicides when we're fighting against that. And second of all, if the undercover cop who drove by in the SUV really thought he was a threat, then he would have gotten out of his car right then and there and said, let me see what's in that canister, open up that canister. He knew it was just water.
Of course, this was filled with water. I do not believe this was actually the issue at all, because I picked this up in clear sight of all the officers after the altercation. They weren't the least bit concerned about this. This is the piece of taser wire which was wrapped all around him. So basically a taser is a mechanism where you pull a trigger, it shoots out kind of a barb attached to this wire. The barb sticks in the skin and it electrocutes the victim. And this, my guess, is some sort of safety catch for the taser that they had to remove before they shocked 19-year-old deadhead, peaceful Ian.
I did see Day Owen. He was one of our speakers, a great organizer. The media wanted to interview him. Channel 9 or Channel 13, they called him over, and he was about to get an interview, and then one of the officers said, Day Owen, we need to have a word with you. And they waved him over, and then Day said, okay, one moment to, you know, the person who was going to interview him, and he walked over to the officers, and then they just immediately arrested him. And the last thing he shouted before he was pushed into the car was, they arrested me before I even had a chance to speak to the media and tell the truth.
They pulled me across the street and said I'm under arrest before I could talk to the media. Shannon, get my books! Get my books, Shannon! Josh, get my books from that table!
So they also say in this news release, the Eugene Police Department, they said the rally was otherwise peaceful. However, there were some witnesses who reported overhearing rally participants prior to the incident planning a way to provoke a call that would get police to the area. They're saying that basically there are some people here that were trying to get the cops here to create an incident. I mean,
that's bullshit. I'm sorry. That's completely ridiculous. First of all, I don't know what their grounds are for saying that. It just sounds like complete hearsay, lies made up. There would be no point for bringing the cops here. There would be nothing constructive about that. This wasn't a huge radical demonstration that we wanted like the cops to come and the media to jump on it. We just wanted the people in the community to know what was going on.
Assembly, everyone disperse. Eugene Police Department. This is an unlawful assembly. You are ordered to disperse the area.
To where?
If you do not disperse, you will be arrested.
so we hear that Ian was threatening the police with poison. We also heard that the people within this gathering of people here on Kesey Square were also somehow trying to figure out some dastardly plan to create some sort of action which would draw the police in and create an incident. Really all that happened here was that the EPD again treated citizens like they were criminals. All they needed to do was come to Ian and ask Ian, hey son, what do you have in that can there, or that spray bottle? Is that just water? And Ian would have said, yes, that's all it is. And if the police just also said, hey, could you just move across the crosswalk a little bit quicker because you're blocking a little bit too much traffic, Ian definitely would have said no problem. And we would have had just another boring rally here in Eugene, Oregon. But we didn't. And now the cops decided just to ratchet shit up again. And now it's a big issue and a lot more of your money being spent because the cops just couldn't be human to these kids down here in Kesey Square on May 30th, 2008. What a drag, man. I watch PictureEugene on YouTube. You do too. You want to try that?